Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Mark Gatiss, Imogen Poots, Rufus Sewell, and Olivia Williams, and directed by Florian Zeller. Now, before I get into this, I'm doing the 2021 Annual Academy Awards, coming out with the movies that they released that are Best Picture nominated. So let's get into the first segment, The Father. Anne, played by Olivia Colman, walks back to her flat, as or also known as house, as what they call it in London or something like that. Yeah, it sounds about right. Her father, Anthony, played by Anthony Hopkins, in his second best performance since The Silence of the Lambs, as he calls his ex-maid Angela a bitch, excuse my French, and accuses her for stealing his watch. And Anne doesn't know what to do with her father, as he finds his watch and doesn't want a maid and thinks he can manage on his own, and asks Anne about her dead sister Lucy. And Anne says she's moving to Paris, France with a man that she met. And Anthony's quote about France is they don't speak English there, which is repeated quite a few times, as the character of Anthony has Alzheimer's, as he can't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. Meanwhile, Anne goes to the grocery store to buy some chicken for dinner almost every night. And while at the grocery store, Anne's husband Paul, played by Rufus Sewell, enters the house. I think that was her husband. It's hard for me to say. And phones Anne, and this movie is screwing up my head to the point I'm confused as hell. And the director, Florian Zeller, also directed the play, which I've never confessionably haven't seen. So all this is fresh to me, as Anthony is confused and I'm lost at the point. But keep in mind, we're watching this under Anthony's point of view, and it's very confusing. I'm very confused about where the movie is going and what's happening at this point. And this is one of Anthony Hopkins' best performances since Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. Anne gets a maid as an interview named Laura, played by Imogen Poots, who's a very sweet presence, but she does so little in this movie, as Anthony is reminded of Lucy looking at Laura and begins to hurt both Laura and Anne's feelings, and Laura understands how he feels, and that came out of nowhere. But I like these characters, despite I'm very confused by the circumstances of this film. Well, one character, Paul, I'll get to in a few minutes. And I don't like getting confused by movies in general unless they're very talented directors. But this is the second thing this director has made other than the play. Yeah, he only directed one other movie while he directed the play, so that's all I know. Anne likes Laura, and believe it or not, so does Anthony, despite his rude comment, which I refuse to say because this is a PG-13 rated movie, said about Laura, which is an odd thing to forget. And Anthony forgets his watch again and asks Paul to see his watch, while Anne finds his actual watch in his favorite hiding spot in the closet. And Anthony keeps bringing up Paul's watch as it felt strange. And I'm thinking this movie is well made, but it's strange in a confusing kind of way, as Paul begins to offend Anthony with a question about how long it'll take for Anthony to not stick around, as we move on to a doctor's office where Anthony keeps bringing up that Anne is going to move to Paris, and she says no, she's not. And I'm getting very confused about where this movie is going. And I thought, make up your mind. Are you moving or not? It just felt very irritating, but I have to keep telling myself I'm watching this from Anthony's point of view. Paul tells Anne to put Anthony in a nursing home for the elderly, as Anthony overhears the conversation before having dinner with them. And Paul wants Anthony out so badly because they were going to go to Italy until the situation with Angela in the beginning of the movie. And Anne and Paul have an argument as Anthony overhears it again and goes in his bedroom completely sad. And I'm starting to not like Paul to this point because he's being rather too jerky towards Anthony, and this movie shows us how much to not like Paul. And that's a good thing. Anthony doesn't know where the chairs came from, Yeah, that's right. And doesn't see Lucy's painting on the wall, and we see Laura giving Anthony some tea and gets his pills, and he thinks she's a nun as he's led to believe she's talking to him like he's retarded twice. And Laura brings up Lucy's accident and doesn't want to bring it up again and gives him the pills and drinks it with tea, accidentally drinking all of his water beforehand. The man, played by Mark Gatiss, as he's asked the same question as Paul, which is how long does Anthony tends to stick around, and smacks Anthony around. As it turns out, Anne and Paul are there, and Anthony is imagining the man hitting him, which felt very weird. I couldn't tell if that was really him or Paul, for that matter. Anthony is asleep and imagines Lucy as it looks like Laura lying dead from the accident at the hospital, and as he wakes up, he has breakfast with Anne before Laura comes to help him out, and as she lets her in, we see another woman played by Olivia Williams as Laura with Laura as he can't make sense of what she looks like. And the next scene, we're at the nurse's home. And Anne tells him she's going to move to Paris, and Anthony is sad about it. And he stays in his room and as he's still confused about where he's at, and sees Olivia Williams coming into this room and makes his bed, and she gives him the pills. And Olivia Williams tells Anthony that she's been living in Paris for several months. And the man comes in and gets a signature from Olivia Williams, who I guess her name was Catherine at the time. And Anthony monologues as he can't remember who anyone is, including himself, and brings up his mother and says, "I want my mommy." And he cries about his mother, which is a pretty sad ending. It felt like a downer. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.2 out of 10. I was confused for the whole movie as I don't exactly know where it was going, to the point it was very irritating. It is well made, sure, but I think this is a good movie, not a great movie like the critics are saying it is. This is Anthony Hopkins' second best performance, as his very best was Silence of the Lambs. Is this Best Picture of the Year? I don't think so, but it was nominated for a reason because it is well made. But I probably won't watch this again in my future. That's my full review of the movie. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will be back next time with Judas and the Black Messiah. And until next time, and the Oscar goes to.